Reborn at the wedding, Ethan Carter took off the ring he had halfway put on and placed it on his childhood sweetheart's finger in front of everyone. I wasn't angry. Instead, I personally handed her the bouquet. In our previous life, he abandoned his childhood sweetheart and was forced to marry me because the Carter family was on the verge of bankruptcy. I used all my resources to help him make a comeback, and we became a model couple envied by everyone. But when we were old and dying, he refused to be buried with me and insisted on moving his grave next to his childhood sweetheart. Reborn, we tacitly eloped and went our separate ways. 5 years later, the company he founded entered the Fortune 500 company, and he announced his engagement to his childhood sweetheart at the high school reunion. Seeing my simple outfit, he sneered, "Audrey, without me, how could you have let your life fall apart like this? If you were willing to be my mistress, you could still live the privileged life you once had." I ignored him and turned to the arms of the billionaire. Ethan Carter frantically grabbed me, his eyes red as he questioned, "Didn't you say you only loved me? How could you marry someone else?" As the ring was about to slide all the way on, Ethan Carter shuddered and suddenly pulled it off. Amidst the gasps of the crowd, he rushed off the stage and knelt on one knee in front of Jennifer Rose. "Jenny, I regret it. I don't want to marry a woman I don't love for money. Will you marry me?" Jennifer Rose nodded with tears in her eyes and extended her left hand. Ethan Carter placed the ring on her finger and solemnly kissed the back of her hand. Seeing this scene, I instantly understood that he had been reborn too. In our previous life, the Carter family was facing a financial crisis and was on the verge of bankruptcy, so they took the initiative to propose a marriage alliance to my family. I, who had always secretly loved Ethan Carter, gladly agreed. Although we weren't exactly sweet after marriage, we treated each other with respect and supported each other for 60 years. He would occasionally give me gifts and prepare small surprises, and he would also put aside important work to be with me because of a phone call from me. I thought we had developed feelings over these 60 years, until I accidentally opened his desk drawer while packing and a stack of thick letters tumbled out. The recipients were all his first love, Jennifer Rose. Each of these unmailed letters contained a love poem, densely filled with his regrets and love. "Jenny, I dream of you every night, dreaming of how happy we would be if we were married. When I wake up and see that the person next to me isn't you, I wish I could die and be reborn. She is constantly reminding me of my betrayal to you. I hate her touch and always make excuses to stay busy at the company to avoid her. I even secretly take medicine because I don't want to leave any offspring with her." Seeing this, my breath hitched. Because I really liked children, I had been actively trying to get pregnant. He didn't like intimacy, so I shamelessly begged him for it once a month, and he would barely touch me on that day. He saw my efforts, but secretly and completely denied them. But later, I accidentally became pregnant. No wonder he looked so shocked when I handed him the pregnancy test report. Trembling, I flipped through the letters and continued reading. I didn't expect her to be pregnant. "Jenny, I'm very hesitant and don't know what to do. Until I accidentally discovered that you were pregnant when we separated, Jenny. You gave me a son, I'm so happy. I will find a way to abort Audrey Joe's child. Jenny, only you can bear my child." I collapsed to the ground, instantly bursting into tears. At that time, I had a miscarriage and thought it was because I accidentally ate something wrong. I was depressed for a while, and he kept comforting me that we could have another child. Ethan Carter was so cruel. The later letters were probably all sent out. The latest one had a stamp on it but hadn't been mailed yet. I opened it and found a check with no amount filled in. It turned out that he had been in contact with Jennifer Rose behind my back for 40 years, and the newly signed will that was included even explicitly stated that he wanted to be buried with Jennifer Rose. Coming back to my senses, Ethan Carter and Jennifer Rose were already kissing passionately. The guests present looked at me with strange eyes, whispering to each other. I heard that the groom agreed to the marriage because the Joe family forced him to. This Audrey Joe is rushing to stick to him and refuses to let go. Isn't this obviously a case of forcing a couple apart? Amidst the mockery and watching eyes, I revealed a generous and appropriate smile, walked off the stage, and stuffed the bouquet into Jennifer Rose's hands. It just so happens that I don't want to marry either, so I wish you a happy wedding. After saying that, I took off my veil and was about to leave the venue. Ethan Carter frowned, seemingly wanting to stop me, but he and Jennifer Rose were surrounded by the cheering crowd, and he ultimately didn't catch up. In my previous life, I gave up my own life and painstakingly became Ethan Carter's capable wife, but I never received a trace of his love. In this life, I will fulfill him and myself. I met Ethan Carter again at the high school reunion 5 years later. By the time I finished the painting overnight, the sky was already dawn. I didn't have time to change out of the clothes stained with paint, so I casually threw on a coat and rushed from my studio to the Fairview High School reunion hall. Amidst the flattery, I saw Ethan Carter surrounded by people at a glance. Jennifer Rose leaned on his side like a bird clinging to a human, and everyone's eyes were full of envy. Mr. Carter's life is truly amazing. In just 5 years, he not only revived the Carter family, which was on the verge of bankruptcy, but also squeezed into the Fortune 500 company this year. We peers can't even catch up. Of course. Any project that Mr. Carter takes a fancy to makes a lot of money. The land on the outskirts of Fairview was so worthless that no one wanted it, but Mr. Carter was the only one with vision who was willing to buy it. Before long, the government announced that the new subway line would pass through here, and the value of this land has increased 100-fold. Everyone's eyes turned red, and they scrambled to toast Ethan Carter. Mr. Carter, we are all old classmates. If you have any good projects recently, please let us join in. Ethan Carter raised his chin enjoyably and looked tenderly at Jennifer Rose beside him. I've been busy preparing for my engagement banquet with Jenny recently. When I have good projects in hand in a while, I will definitely bring everyone along. Everyone hurriedly squeezed forward to toast and congratulate him. Jennifer Rose's sisters even laughed and said, Mr. Carter and Jenny are a match made in heaven. Ever since Mr. Carter publicly abandoned Audrey Zhou and eloped with Jenny, his career has been thriving. On the other hand, Audrey Zhou, ever since she was abandoned and scurried back home, the entire Zhou family has disappeared from Fairview. I happened to hear this sentence when I entered the Fairview High School reunion hall, and I couldn't help but find it funny. My family listened to my suggestion and focused on overseas markets, but in their eyes, it became the Zhou family's decline. Many sharp-eyed classmates had already seen me, and their eyes fell on my stained clothes, and they raised their heads contemptuously. Audrey Zhou, why are you just arriving? Look at your outfit. You were once a young lady, but you don't even wear a formal dress to a banquet. Hey, could it be that the Zhou family really went bankrupt? You look like a beggar sleeping under a bridge. Even if you're not doing well, you should dress decently. This is an upscale banquet hall sponsored by Mr. Carter, which costs at least $10,000 an hour. You're too cheap here and lowering the standards. Jennifer Rose's sisters were extremely mean, but no one present came out to defend me. They were all watching the show. Now, Ethan Carter is a new favorite in their eyes, and I am the evil woman who forced him into marriage before. They want to curry favor with Ethan Carter, so they are naturally happy to see me embarrassed. I ignored the disdainful gazes and maintained a decent smile. If they knew that the casual clothes I was wearing could buy this banquet hall, they would probably be shocked. Ethan Carter's eyes had been following me closely, and the expression in his eyes was unclear. He raised his chin slightly and said condescendingly, Audrey Zhou, it's been a few years since I saw you. How could you let yourself become so down and out? Considering our past relationship, I can buy you a formal dress. I politely shook my head. No need, these clothes are quite comfortable to wear. He frowned at my rejection, and seemed a little annoyed. Jennifer Rose saw the scene, glared at me while gritting her teeth, deliberately showed off the diamond ring on her left ring finger and Ethan Carter's hand as if declaring her sovereignty. Ethan, how can you be so blunt? She still has self-esteem even if she's having a hard time. Of course she will refuse if you say it directly. Then she pretended to be generous and smiled at me. Audrey Joe, if you hadn't forced Ethan into marriage, I wouldn't have thought that he would love me so much that he would directly break off the engagement. After this incident, our relationship has become even stronger. Ethan also wants to thank you, nothing else, don't misunderstand. It's definitely too late to buy a formal dress now. I happen to have one that I don't like and am going to throw away. Do you want it? Before I could speak, she said to herself again, that's a Dior haute couture, you can't afford it now, can you? Look at you, you look like you came out of a beggar's den. No man will like you if you're so sloppy. If you dress up well, you might be able to hook a rich man. There were a few snickers in the crowd. Jennifer Rose was covered in all kinds of luxury brands, and her face was exquisitely fair and tender. Because I had been painting all night, I looked very haggard, and my clothes were stained with paint here and there, so I couldn't compare at all. However, I don't have the heart to argue with them now. The long hours of work made my stomach protest. No need, I think these clothes are very comfortable. After saying that, I ignored them, picked up a plate, selected some food, and sat at the table to prepare to savor it carefully. Is Audrey Joe here specifically to freeload? Is she so embarrassed that she has reached this point? Everyone looked at me with contempt, but at least I got a moment of peace. They were all busy climbing relationships, and no one took the initiative to find me. What I didn't expect was that Ethan Carter would actually take the initiative to walk towards me and put a pile of carefully selected food in front of me. Audrey, these are all your favorites, eat more. I glanced at the steak and truffle chocolate he brought and couldn't help but find it funny. In my previous life, I followed him because he liked to eat these, but my taste is actually more inclined to Asian food. No need, thank you. Ethan Carter grabbed my wrist unhappily. Audrey, are you deliberately putting on a show for me? Just because I didn't choose you in this life? In the previous life, because the Carter family needed the Joe family's funds, you kept using this to control me, pretending to delegate power to me on the surface, but secretly telling those directors not to listen to me. The company's senior executives all looked down on me. Do you know how suffocated I was living? I was stunned. I didn't expect Ethan Carter to say this. In the previous life, because of his inferiority and sensitivity, I withdrew from the management and was willing to give up my dreams to cook for him. I went to get a nutritionist certificate for him and carefully matched his 3 meals a day, silently supporting his career behind his back. I took care of him for 40 years, thinking that he should understand my love, but until his death, he was still thinking about Jennifer Rose, and he only had doubts and hatred for me. I stood up to leave with a cold face, but Ethan Carter grabbed me and took out a check for $1 million from his pocket. Considering our relationship in the previous life, this money is my subsidy for you, go buy yourself a decent dress. How indifferent to life have you become after leaving me to live such a terrible life? I pushed the check back. Just as I was about to speak, he suddenly held my hand and stared straight at my collarbone. Audrey, you can actually go back to the privileged life you once had, as long as you continue to be with me. My stomach couldn't help churning. I didn't expect that he could say such a thing to me, asking me to be his mistress, just after he announced his engagement with Jennifer Rose. Mr. Carter, please respect yourself. You're newly engaged, and I'm married too. It's better to keep a distance from each other. Besides, you were the one who said you didn't love me and wanted to marry Jennifer Rose. People have to be responsible for their choices. Ethan Carter's face turned pale when he heard my words. Married? Who did you marry? Audrey, don't say angry words, you want to take revenge on me by marrying someone else. I can give you love and money, why do you have to care about a title? I tore the check to pieces in front of him, and Ethan Carter's face suddenly darkened. Jennifer Rose, who was not far away, noticed the movement here, walked over with a glass of champagne, and seemed to understand something when she saw the pieces of the check on the table. She looked at me with dark and angry eyes, her fingers were about to break, but she still pretended to be decent. Audrey Joe, We are helping you out of kindness, but you are still throwing a tantrum, just for that little bit of pitiful self-esteem? In that case, my parents are sick in the hospital and are in need of a caregiver to provide elder care. I'll give you $20,000 a month. This is a job opportunity that so many people are trying to get, don't miss it because you can't save face. Ethan Carter was also annoyed by my repeated rejections, and mocked me coldly. With my current status and position, so many people are begging me for help. Audrey Joe, you are really shameless, you deserve to be poor for the rest of your life. The surrounding classmates also gathered around and echoed their words. That's right, Audrey Joe, people are helping you out of kindness, what is your reaction? You don't even want your face to freeload, you come to the high school reunion to embarrass yourself, and now you're pretending to be noble? Looking at their snobbish appearance, I was extremely disappointed in the so-called high school reunion. If I wasn't waiting for someone, I would have left long ago. While everyone was still denouncing me, the hotel attendant suddenly pushed a small dining car over and took out several bottles of 1982 Chateau Lafite Rothschild from it, which immediately attracted everyone's attention. The waiter smiled politely. This is a small gift specially prepared by Mr. Hayes for everyone, and he will come to visit in person after he is done. Everyone immediately exploded. Mr. Hayes? Is it the one I'm thinking of? Fairview's billionaire, Gordon Hayes? It must be him, otherwise who else can be so generous? These few bottles of wine cost millions, and he just gives them away. Someone in the crowd wondered, but why did Mr. Hayes suddenly give us wine? This is a figure that we can only see on the news. Jennifer Rose's sisters immediately flattered and leaned forward. Isn't this obvious? In our place, only Mr. Carter has the status to be worthy, he must be coming for him. Mr. Carter, can you say a few good words to Mr. Hayes for us later? We just want to get familiar with him, it would be immeasurable to be remembered by such a big figure. Facing everyone's flattery, Ethan Carter and Jennifer Rose were flattered although they didn't understand, and proudly looked at me. It's all a small problem, but Audrey Joe, don't stay here in such a getup and offend the big people. Yes. Leave quickly. Mr. Hayes is not someone you can meet. I curled my lips mockingly, looked at the crowd clamoring for me to leave, glanced at the clock and said nothing. Why are you still shamelessly staying here? Jennifer Rose was about to take the lead in driving me out when the elevator opened and a man in a suit and leather shoes walked out. When everyone saw it, they exclaimed, "It's Mr. Hayes' assistant, Zach Harris, who is said to have been an operator in Wall Street without any defeats. It's usually difficult to even meet him. It seems that the person who sent the wine just now was really Mr. Hayes." Now no one cared about me anymore, and they all squeezed forward to try to curry favor, but Zach Harris walked straight towards me without even giving anyone a glance. Jennifer Rose thought that Zach Harris was heading towards her, shyly flicked her hair, and said in a squeaky voice, "Assistant Harris, nice to meet you, I am." Who knew that Zach Harris frowned, directly bypassed her and walked towards me behind her, respectfully bowed and handed me the coat in his hand. "Madam, it's so cold, Mr. Hayes is worried about you, so he specially asked me to come down and bring you a coat." "Madam?" The classmates present were shocked and stared wide-eyed when they heard Zach Harris's address to me, and looked at me in disbelief. The hotel manager was also attracted by the commotion and hurried forward to nod and bow to me. "Madam, why didn't you tell me in advance that you were attending a high school reunion here? Mr. Hayes is negotiating a contract upstairs today, and I put my focus there. I didn't mean to neglect you." As he spoke, he turned to the crowd and said, "Our hotel was bought by Mr. Hayes as a birthday gift for his wife. Everyone is an old classmate of his wife. If you have any requirements for dining and service, please feel free to ask, and we will do our best to meet them." Hearing this, everyone opened their mouths, and their expressions froze on their faces. The people who had helped Jennifer Rose mock me before were now pale, clenched their fists, and tried their best to control their trembling bodies. And the classmates who had a better relationship with me before and had remained silent before were overjoyed and walked forward excitedly to talk to me. "Audrey, is this true? Your husband is actually the billionaire Gordon Hayes? Can this be fake? Assistant Harris and the hotel manager have said it. She must be the wife that the billionaire has been protecting and has never publicly appeared." I still maintained a polite smile and nodded lightly. Ethan Carter and Jennifer Rose's faces turned pale, and the wine glasses in their hands fell to the ground, making a sharp sound. The jealousy on Jennifer Rose's face could no longer be hidden, and her eyes stared at me as if she wanted to breathe fire. "How is this possible? How could you be Gordon Hayes's wife? Mr. Hayes's wife is an internationally renowned painter. I saw her abroad last time when she won an award, and it's not you at all." I shrugged helplessly. "Hayes is afraid that revealing my identity will cause me trouble, so he never lets me appear in public. Since you went, didn't you hear what the organizer said? All my awards were collected by my assistant Ing Ying." Jennifer Rose bit her lip tightly, refusing to believe it, and desperately wanted to refute me. And Ethan Carter also frowned tightly, looking like he didn't believe it at all. "Audrey Zhou, how have you become like this now? You use all means to support the scene. How much money did you spend to hire these two to act with you? Isn't it for this that you spent all your assets and became so down and out that you can't even afford a decent dress?" Zach Harris, who was on the side, couldn't listen anymore and pushed his glasses with a sneer. "Some people are really ignorant. Real luxury goods are not covered with logos. The cashmere sweater that the madam is wearing is made of the most precious cashmere antelope from the Kashmir Plateau, and it is woven by the top Italian craftsmen in half a year. All of you combined are only worth a fraction of this dress." After his sarcasm, Ethan Carter and Jennifer Rose immediately embarrassedly covered the logos on their bodies. Ethan Carter was still unwilling and shouted at me, "Impossible. How could a billionaire like a worn shoe that I abandoned? And I remember that you don't know how to paint. How could you win the highest international award?" As soon as he finished speaking, Gordon Hayes walked out of the elevator behind him with a frosty expression. "Who said Audrey is a worn shoe? You're just blind." As he spoke, he walked to my side, put his arm around my waist, and gently pursed his lips. "Wife, I'm late. I've wronged you. It's really Mr. Hayes." The crowd immediately exploded, and the classmates who had been skeptical before changed their faces one after another, and came forward to greet me ingratiatingly. "Audrey, why didn't you say earlier that you were Mr. Hayes's wife?" We were all misled by Ethan Carter and Jennifer Rose before, and that's why we had so many misunderstandings. "We apologize to you for what happened just now. Please don't take it to heart. This group of people is essentially a group of snobbish people who follow the trend. Now that they see that the situation is not right, even Jennifer Rose's best friends have come up, nodding and bowing to me with a smile. Look at Audrey, that's what you call really high class, rich and low-key, unlike those two, like nouveau riches, with no taste at all. No matter how much they pretend, they can't become superior people. That's right, I didn't expect Audrey to marry the billionaire." Just now, Jennifer Rose was humiliating people with a job of $20,000, which is so funny. She is an internationally renowned painter herself. Pfft, I just saw Ethan Carter giving Audrey a check in the corner. It's really ridiculous. Her husband is the billionaire. How can she look at that little bit of money? He thought his ex was not doing as well as him, but he didn't expect her to turn around and find a better and more excellent man. In just a few minutes, after learning of my identity, the classmates changed from initially uniting to mock me to showing concern and care for me, all wanting to get familiar with me in front of me, so as to get the resources of me and Gordon Hayes. I found it hypocritical and ridiculous, but after all, they were once classmates, so I just nodded slightly in response. Gordon Hayes saw that I looked a little tired and was very considerate, euphemistically dissuading them. Jennifer Rose tugged at Ethan Carter's sleeve, but he stood still and refused to leave. Gordon Hayes's eyes also fell on him, and he curled his lips mockingly. "You are Ethan Carter? I want to thank you for not marrying me back then, otherwise how could I have met such a good wife? Hearing this, Ethan Carter's face was ashen, and his lower lip was bitten, faintly overflowing with red blood. He ignored Gordon Hayes' provocation and stared straight at me with complicated eyes, with a hint of collapse. Audrey, you knew I was going to marry Jennifer Rose, so you deliberately found actors to make me angry, didn't you? I stopped the frowning Gordon Hayes, shook my head, and signaled him to go out and wait for me first. He didn't say anything, silently nodded and went out, showing complete respect and trust in me. After he left, I turned to look at Ethan Carter and showed the diamond ring on my hand. Do you think I have the ability to invite Gordon Hayes to act with me? Gordon Hayes and I have been married for 3 years, and it's not because I was angry with you that I married him. In addition, Ethan Carter, before I married you, I had been working hard to study painting, but later I gave up painting in order to take care of you and the Carter family wholeheartedly. In this life, I don't need to worry so much anymore, and I can paint wholeheartedly. Ethan Carter's eyes gradually changed from doubt and complexity to a gray and silent deadness. But Audrey, you said that you only loved me. How could you betray your oath and marry someone else? I pursed my lips speechlessly. Ethan Carter, is there any need to mention these past things? Do you have to abide by the vows of the previous life in this life? First of all, there is nothing to cherish about our past. I have seen the letters and will you hid in the drawer. In this life, we also tacitly chose to elope and live a life without each other. Don't you think it's ridiculous to say these things now? Shouldn't you be happy to be with your childhood sweetheart for the rest of your life? Why bother telling me these unrealistic words? Ethan Carter rushed forward in a frenzy and shook my shoulders. Are you trying to get rid of everything from the previous life by saying these things now? I won't allow it. The reason I chose to elope in this life is because I can't stand the fact that after the Carter family accepted your family's funding, I was inferior. Those directors all looked down on me, and they had to report my orders to you, and they could only be executed after you agreed. Then what am I, the general manager, doing? I shook my head in disappointment. What are you talking about? In the previous life, after I realized your sensitivity and inferiority, I took the initiative to withdraw from the management and focused on cooking for you wholeheartedly. You clearly saw these things, but you still suspect that I'm pretending on the surface and behind your back? If I really had this intention, would I have transferred the shares I held to you? Ethan Carter's eyes widened and he stood there at a loss. What did you say? When did you transfer the shares to me? You're lying. I sighed. On your 30th birthday, you said that your wish was for me to put down everything else and accompany you wholeheartedly, so I took the initiative to leave the company and signed the share transfer agreement. Didn't your secretary tell you? Ethan Carter was stunned, his tone trembling badly. Jenny never told me. She gave me a will that day, which stated that all of your property after your death would be included in the company's public account and not given to me at all. At that time, I felt that you had always looked down on me and never really loved me, and you would rather donate all your property to the company than leave me a little bit. Moreover, the old men on the board of directors obviously didn't listen to me. If the last discovery in the previous life made me feel pain and disappointment, then this conversation undoubtedly made me completely despair of this relationship. When have I ever lied to you? And when the board members disagreed with you, didn't your proposals always get implemented in the end? They were just considering the company's interests. Ethan Carter, we've been together for 60 years. I thought that even if you didn't love me, you would at least understand me after all this time. But it seems today that my 60 years of devotion have been nothing but a self-indulgent joke. I've given you everything I had, and you completely dismissed me based on someone's casual remark and a fake certificate. Don't you think that's ridiculous? Ethan Carter's eyes were unfocused, as if he were recalling many things from his past life, and there were faint tears in his eyes. I turned to leave, but as soon as I took a step, he rushed forward and grabbed my sleeve. I looked back and met his red eyes. Audrey, do you still love me? I shook my head firmly, almost without hesitation. I did love you in my past life, but after being reborn, I've already let go. The only person I love now is my husband. Ethan Carter seemed to have suffered a great blow and staggered backward. Impossible, impossible. How could you love someone else? Actually, I originally thought that after the trauma of my past life, I would never accept anyone again until I met Gordon Hayes. It was a beautiful day, and I was sketching in Vienna when he happened to pass by and stopped in front of my easel. The painting is very good, but... I looked up in surprise, not expecting to meet a Chinese person here, and he even took the initiative to talk to me. This piqued my interest, so I asked him what was wrong. This painting lacks a bit of light. He picked up a paintbrush and added a few strands of warm yellow sunlight to the top, transforming the entire scene from gloomy to a warm, cozy yellow. At that time, I didn't know he was a billionaire, I just treated him as a confidant in a foreign country. He loved my paintings very much and would give me suggestions every time I sketched, and he could also understand my unique metaphors. Gradually, we became close friends who could talk about anything, until 3 months later, when I had to return to Fairview to participate in the Golden Merit Award selection. Because of the sudden change in my schedule, I didn't have time to see him one last time, and I realized that we didn't even have each other's contact information. I thought this relationship had come to an end, but I didn't expect him to be the organizer of the Golden Merit Award. The moment he saw me again, he rushed forward excitedly, but in the end, he just shook my hand restrainedly. From then on, Gordon Hayes pursued me relentlessly. I asked him why he chose me. He said, "Actually, I loved painting when I was a child, but due to family pressure, I had to give it up and study economics instead. Audrey, in you, I seem to see the free version of myself. I can always find resonance in your paintings." The painful experiences of my past life made me afraid to easily believe in love again, but Gordon Hayes proved with his actions that true love can stand the test of time. I smiled slightly at Ethan Carter. 3 years ago, when we were skiing in the snowy mountains, we encountered an avalanche. His first reaction was not to run away, but to protect me with his life. Fortunately, the rescue team arrived in time. Ethan Carter, his love for me can even surpass life. I don't think it takes much effort to fall in love with someone like that. Moreover, many people questioned whether I was with him for the money and advised him to draw up a prenuptial agreement, but Hayes trusted me completely and even transferred more than half of his shares to me, against everyone's objections. He said it was his way of giving me a sense of security. Hearing these words, Ethan Carter's eyes turned bloodshot, and he stepped forward to grab my hand. "Audrey, if it weren't for those misunderstandings, we could have loved each other like this." I pursed my lips and pried his fingers off one by one. "No, we wouldn't. In my past life, I wasted 60 years on you, only to have you still doubt and resent me in the end. Ethan Carter, don't you think it's ridiculous for you to say this now? You're just upset that I've found a new home and am doing well. You don't really love me at all." I ignored his deathly pale face and turned to walk away. Gordon Hayes was standing outside the car door. When he saw me come out, he untied the scarf around his neck and put it on me. "Honey, it's cold outside. I've warmed up the scarf for you. Let's go home now that you're done talking." Ethan Carter was originally following behind, perhaps wanting to see the ugly side of him because of suspicion, but Gordon Hayes didn't ask at all. He completely gave up at this point, seeming to realize the difference between himself and others, and didn't chase after me anymore. My heart was also lighter than ever before, and I completely let go of the things from my past life. Now I have a career that I love and a husband who loves and respects me. In this reborn life, I finally have happiness. A month later, I was watching the financial news channel with Gordon Hayes when I saw that Ethan Carter's company had been hit by a financial crisis. It started with an accident at the amusement park he was responsible for building. Several children were on the pirate ship ride when the hull suddenly fell, causing 5 deaths and 7 injuries. Because of the serious impact of the incident, the authorities sent a special team to investigate and found that most of the projects he had done were built with substandard materials to save costs, and most of the facilities in the amusement park he had built before did not meet the standards. As a result, Ethan Carter's company's stock price plummeted, going from a Fortune 500 company to the brink of bankruptcy overnight. I wasn't surprised by this result. In my past life, his proposals were always rejected by the board of directors because he only cared about profits and used unscrupulous means to increase revenue. However, because of the constraints of the board of directors, he was unable to make any major mistakes. In this life, he held all the shares of the company firmly in his own hands, and his company was almost a one-man show. Even if someone objected, it had little effect, which is why his projects were constantly failing. I didn't pay much attention to it, but I didn't expect Ethan Carter to take the initiative to find me. In just over 2 months, he had completely changed. I couldn't find any trace of the young, promising, and high-spirited CEO he used to be. Because he didn't have time to take care of himself, his hair was almost covering his eyes, his beard was crookedly hanging on his face, and he was wearing dull, old clothes. The always meticulous him even had half of his cufflinks missing. As soon as he saw me, his eyes lit up, and he rushed forward excitedly. "Audrey, Jennifer Rose, that bitch." I was wrong to trust her, both in this life and the last. She even embezzled 1/3 of the funds I allocated to the project, which led to the accident. I finally understand my true feelings. You must still love me, right? Help me, and after I get through this, I will make up for the mistakes I made in my past life. I frowned irritably and signaled the bodyguards to step forward and pull him away. Ethan Carter, I think I made myself very clear at the high school reunion. In this life, we are strangers. Please don't say such ridiculous things again, and don't disturb my life anymore. He probably regarded me as his last straw. Even after being pulled away by the bodyguards, he still struggled desperately to get to my side. "Audrey, I know you're just saying angry words because you're upset. The 15th of this month is my wedding date with Jennifer Rose. If you want, I can publicly abandon her at the wedding to vent your anger." Seeing that I was expressionless, he knelt down directly. "Please, Audrey, even if you don't love me anymore, please help me this once for the sake of our past life." I was amused by his shamelessness. "Ethan Carter, what kind of relationship did we have in our past life? Was it the fact that you drugged me and caused me to have a miscarriage, or the fact that you supported Jennifer Rose behind my back for so many years? I will never help you. If you still have any self-respect, leave as soon as possible." He looked at my resolute expression, and tears fell down his face. "Audrey, it was my fault. I was played by Jennifer Rose in both of our lives. If I had woken up earlier, maybe we would have been happy. If there is a next life, I will definitely choose you without hesitation." I couldn't help but find it funny when I heard this. How could people have so many chances to start over? I didn't take it to heart. Just last month, I found out that I was pregnant, and Gordon Hayes was preparing to take me to Switzerland to recuperate. I was rushing home to pack my luggage. However, I didn't expect this to be my last meeting with Ethan Carter. I saw him again on the news. The video was from the wedding scene, where he was frantically stabbing Jennifer Rose with a knife. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost everything." He was arrested and imprisoned for intentional homicide and was soon found dead in his cell. It is said that when he died, he was still chanting, "I want to start over with Audrey."